The following episode is extremely inside about an issue no one wants to talk about. If you're just looking for meaningless fun, check out episode 3.
A tree falls in a forest. According to Facebook, millions of people heard it. But what if it never really made a sound?
And now for Dinner with Racers with your hosts, Ryan Eversley and Sean Heckman.
Placeholder radio sound. I'm a driver and I'm very angry. The sound of a driver on the radio during a race.
So a lot of people in the business that we're in are looking for an escape. They're looking for a way to break the monotony of their day-to-day routine, waking up, going to the gym sometimes, going to the office, doing what they normally do, going home, repeating.
A big part of racing is being able to create a persona. I got to tell you, I've closed a lot of deals at racetracks. We don't even talk about business. What we do is we talk about racing, we talk about fun. I mean, I could tell you stories all night long about things that happen in racing. People like to be around that, as I do myself.
Motorsports is an escape for a lot of people. It's sexy. It makes you feel like you're doing something totally unique compared to the normal world. As motorsports is such an escape for the people who want to get away from their normal lives, we live in an age now where social media just amplifies everything that they want to experience. It's really easy to kind of get sucked into that little cycle of being looked at and being followed and getting liked and having people you don't know comment. That's a selling point for these guys who traditionally in their finance jobs, no one really paid attention to them.
Look, I'm a girl who loves a fast car. And nothing makes me sadder than fast cars not being raced. And you know why that's happening? Because we don't have the audience. People aren't interested in car racing anymore. Our generation is too old. They can't be bothered to come out anymore. And we're not finding new ways to bring in new, young, fresh blood to love the sport as much as I do.
How I used to drive traffic is not how I drive traffic now. And typically it's social media, or it could be Twitter or Instagram. I mean, if you walk into X1 Boston, our facility, you've got Instagram, you've got Twitter on the door, and people around me who are a little bit younger put that stuff in there. If I had to do it all by myself, I probably couldn't do it.
Listen, blockchain utilized this, Bitcoin utilized this, hell, even Acorn utilized this. So why aren't we utilizing it?
Violet Adelaide is much different than anybody I've ever met in motorsports or in media. Her numbers are much higher than any I've ever seen, and onto something that nobody else, I think, is doing what she's doing.
The first thing I noticed, she had thousands of views in a really short period of time, which was impressive, unbelievably impressive. She was different, which was intriguing. She didn't have the normal persona you expect in our space. She didn't have the car, she didn't have the helmet, she didn't have, you know, the stuff that you look for, but yet she still had the results, which is just, for lack of a better way of putting it, it was just, you know, remarkable. And it was impossible not to get caught up in that.
All I'm trying to do is give you a new set of tools for your tool chest.
She was different, the numbers were so high that I became enamored with it. She must be doing something different than anybody else was doing.
All right, let's just blue sky this thing for a second. Of course it's not working. When they go to war, we're arming them with butter knives instead of Uzis.
Yeah, Violet's posts were very confusing when I first saw them. I didn't exactly understand where they were coming from. I could tell that was someone that was well known or connected within the automotive atmosphere and our little bubble, but the posts themselves, yeah, they're hitting the mark in terms of what was the topic everyone wanted to hear at that very moment in the industry, but it just had that weird taste and vibe to it when I started seeing those posts. And initially they were doing well, but they just came out of left field and they didn't really make a lot of sense.
The first thing I look for when somebody comes in with an investment is what is the potential product? What is the product, first of all? And second of all, can that product scale? If you can do a multiple of 10, 15, 20, or 60x in a deal, that's what we look for.
Social media in general is just this Wild West black hole. Not a lot of people understand it, especially in the automotive sector. You look around the paddock or you look around an auto show, there's a lot of old white men. Smart as they may sound in a press conference, they don't fully understand the new age of media.
Now listen to knowledge. What this hotel needs is publicity. I'll send a story to all the leading newspapers saying the society has adopted the hotel as a fad. In 2 weeks' time, this old birdcage will be on the map. Now top that one if you can.
Do I know what an influencer is? Yes. It's somebody that's influencing you from a different medium. Am I right? The f is an influencer? I don't know.
A lot of people that come out to the track with us and get involved in motorsport are new. They've worked their whole life, they've built up a meaningful amount of money that they can indulge in this passion, but they don't really understand the full scope of motorsport and how to be involved and what it costs to be involved and kind of how deep the rabbit hole goes.
There are these large marketing companies that actually understand and can quantify the content and can actually tell you this is moving the needle. But for people coming in that just have a lot of money, you know, they're sitting prey. They don't understand it, they don't get it, and it's easy for them to be taken advantage of because they just don't know the right questions to ask.
Consider this, Steve Jobs. You know who else? Warren Buffett, Mark Cuban, Elon Musk. Maybe you've heard of Mark Zuckerberg.
You got Mark Zuckerberg, you've got Steve Jobs in a garage. Anybody in my business wants to be the person who discovers a Mark Zuckerberg, a Steve Jobs, or the guys at Google. And that's kind of what I thought about with this deal.
Editor, New York Examiner. This is Gansey speaking. Gansey of Gansey, Gansey, and Gansey. Operators of the world's greatest hotel.
So if you're new to this and you hear words like influencer, content creator, disruptor, you think, wow, this is what I need to be around. These are the types of people that I need to be associated with.
If you get into this field and you don't know the right questions to ask, you could be sold on really simple and stupid buzzwords.
And these are the type of people that are going to allow me to achieve the goals that I don't even know I want yet. You've just stumbled upon a passion, something you're really interested in that you've waited your whole life to be involved in. And now all of a sudden there's an opportunity to be even deeper involved and to get on board the ground level of something that you think is gonna not only allow you to indulge in your passion, but allow you to make a lot of money in the process and allow you to get to a new professional height in something you love.
In social media, it's getting likes. I know that that's a big part of it. Do I know how to do it? No. But there are people that can do that. All I really want to be there is to support them, help them, and be part of it.
Influencers in the early days, and I'll call the early days as the late 2000, 2010, 2011, it made sense back then because you had so few of them. But today, now that you have influencers for everything, what's the point? There are way too many influencers for any of it to make any sense. If your influencers are influencing other influencers, Violet came in as an outsider, and in the initial days, it looked very promising. Like she had done something that us, who have been in the industry for so long, weren't able to do. She was figuring out how to bring in a new audience. From 2011 into 2016, I founded and started a YouTube channel called Drive. It was YouTube backed and funded alongside Car and Driver and MotorTrend. Our objective was to produce roughly 150 hours of content every year. The initial year, we kind of split everything equally. 10% of resources went to new car reviews, just like it did to motorsports. So everything was very equal. By the end of year 2, we recognized that motorsports was not the top of the list. In fact, it was actually quite down there at the bottom. It was a special place in my heart because that's where I started. I started in motorsports and I wanted to keep motorsports going, but the viewership just wasn't there. We got it to the point where I would say 5% of our budgets and our content were motorsport related. I think that the true professionals in motorsport recognize that it is a bubble, but perhaps they don't necessarily want to talk about it because that would put their jobs at risk, that would put their livelihood at risk, and they feed into it. Because if they feed into the dream, then they can bring the money, they can bring the people that support the rest of the series into it. And that's kind of what it's all about at the end of the day. It is a business.
I often ask myself, is ignorance bliss in this scenario?
Impressions? Those are for Danny Gans. Here, we convert.
The red flags really started to show that Violet was manipulating the system when her content was doing great in certain places and then falling flat on its face in other places. 100,000 views, 200,000 views on YouTube and Facebook, 30 on Twitter. It didn't add up.
50,000 views, 60,000 views, 100,000 views. And then you dig into it, and it has 200 likes, 50 likes, 2 comments. Doesn't make any sense. How does that happen?
How could it be with 60, 80,000 viewers? How could you get 1 or 2 of them commenting?
Violet had this idea and this strategy to make it look like these brands that had no idea who she was were involved in her content strategy. It's an old school move to make yourself look bigger than you really are by making others think that big brands are associated with your content.
They're companies, well-known companies. They're involved in what she's doing. It's social proof. She's being endorsed by X, Y, and Z. I mean, these are companies that I buy goods that are well-known, that are well-respected, and I mean, they're investing in her. As a result of that, you see the path, you see where she's going, you see where she's been, you see what she's established, and your only logical thought process at that point is that it's going in one direction, up.
You actually go further to the left with it? Yeah.
I found out through my due diligence that Sean Heckman and Ryan Eversley knew this girl. I called them and they said, what do we have here? And they said, let me tell you, RJ, This is a game changer. This is a huge winner. Listen, I've known these guys for a long time. I've raced around them. I've been involved with them for many years. Of course, I found them people that I could work with, that I could trust.
Having that relationship with those guys, was solidified it for me. I mean, so they work in the industry, they're well known in the industry, they have a great reputation, and that's pretty much all that you need.
My experience with Ryan and Sean. Well, I've known Sean for 12 years at this point, I think. Mostly from disaster after disaster at Daytona. I've always thought that both of them have had great credibility. I've never had any issues with them. There's never been a situation where I ever got a bad vibe around them. There have been plenty of instances where I've called on Sean and said, hey, I need a camera operator in this location, and I trust his word. So if he were to say Violet was top-notch, then I would trust him. He's never said that to me yet.
I'm asking myself the question, why would I react at that so quickly without doing the proper due diligence? And the only response I can come up with, the only answer I can come up with is that I was just caught in the allure of it all. In the same time, when you invest in something that you're really into, that you're really involved in, you believe the truth you want to believe, which is, this is a no-brainer. I have to be involved here. So I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I invested $2 million. She told me it was 90%. I was the majority stakeholder in her operation.
I put in $5 million for 65% of the deal, okay, in the hopes that I was going to make a major score.
To all you people who think it's fake, that it's all some sort of con. Of course it is! I'm not even a real person. What kind of would call themselves Violet, Adelaide, and the hustlista? If you're gonna buy into that kind of cliched old maybe we should rip your ass off. God. You see, I'm just an actress. My name's Faith, but the character, Violet Adelaide, is a character who's been in development over several years of road trips on Dinner with Racers. So much so that when this episode came up, Ryan and Sean thought about starting an account, building up a fake following, and actually seeing if they could get people to invest in it just to prove a point. Only one small problem with that. That's fraud, you dumb mother. So, with that in mind, we're gonna take a step away from this bad attempt at an HBO documentary and switch up gears to something a little bit more DIY. Since we can't call out who exactly is doing this kind of stuff, we're gonna show you just how they do it. Big thing you have to remember is that we have to concentrate on allure. Racing, it's sexy, it's fast, it's fun. It's also a little mysterious. Most people who start in motorsports don't really know how it works. It also attracts a lot of wealthy people who think they're the smartest guy in the room. Let me tell you something. You know what you should do? You know what my dad used to do? And add to that, most people over 55 still think the internet is magic. It's the blockchain at AOL.com. With all that, you have the perfect formula for opportunity. First step is to create a marketing persona. You know, something fresh and full of. We created the hustlista by combining popular business buzzwords that actually don't mean anything. You might be the next growthaholic or disrupt the grind. The sky's the limit. Whether it's your name, your business name, or just your stupid Twitter handle, it doesn't matter. If you don't know what organic synergistics means, that's fine. All that matters is that your clients don't either. Next step is to get the look down. Is there a reason Sean and Ryan chose someone who looks like me to do this? You bet your ass there is. To keep things alluring, they chose someone who doesn't look like a typical motorsports fan. They picked somebody hip, cool, fresh, elegant, somebody who's pretty hot, undeniably attractive, basically somebody who might be on the cutting edge. And then they dressed me like this. They paid me. Check out this retro racing hat. It says, look at me, I like motorsports. Like for reals motorsports. Match that with a jacket that says, yes, I respect the classics, but I'm also trendy. Or possibly suffering from color blindness. The rest of this crap is actually my stuff, because the producers of the show actually know very little about women.
Fair.
Stay away from typical stuff like polo shirts, khakis, essentially any outfit you can actually do real work in. And maybe get some neck tattoos. With all that out of the way, it's now time to build a fake following. Did you know that you can build any type of audience engagement online? Comments, subscribes, reviews, hearts, farts, and everything in between is available for every social network there is. It's also relatively cheap. So for a few $100s, you can be 100,000 followers fatter with comments like these. Nice post, fire, bling fire, boast, wow, cool, oh my God, LOL, wow. Nice post. Generic ass. Wow. Nice post. Fire. Nice post. Wow. Thank you, country of Sri Lanka. It's your fandom that makes all of this really worthwhile. So you've got your name, your style, your followers, and now it's time for the real work to begin. I'm just with you. There's no real work involved here. But let's go to the next step. Time to build some content. The real key to any great marketing success. The culmination of ideas that are then executed into a physical presentation, like a logo or a website or a video or a free podcast. Actually having the ability to make something. Dumb! Why would you build up the skills, training, and crushing debt of actually being competent when you can just steal? With so many talented and dedicated people doing real work out there, why should you? Let's take this piece of copyrighted footage. Now, YouTube has software to find matching frames of copyrighted material, but the frame has to match. Now, with the tools of something as simple as an iPhone or iPad, I can take this clip, reverse it, squish it a little, add some filters, crop it, add my own sound effect, and wham bam, thank you ma'am, I've got some original content, which is damn near infringement proof. If someone calls you out, just say it's fair use. Fair use! Because chances are they don't really know how that works, and you certainly don't. Hey, if it was fair use, why would I need to distort the image? Hell, I might even take it to the next step and grab some still images and turn them into some thirsty, inspirational posts for my feed. However, make sure you get as much of yourself in there as possible. But that's easy. one day at a car museum or a tuning shop, and you'll have enough publicity material to last at least a season or two. You can also just buy stock footage as well. We used a ton of it in this episode alone. Like, what is this? What the hell does any of this mean? Why are we looking at this? If anyone asks, just use the scientifically proven get out of jail free word that all artists use. It's a metaphor. Art house with a U. Did you know you can tag pretty much any company or brand on your social media post? Want to be aligned with a popular clothing company? Just thank them in a post for their partnership and then drop in a tag. A quick screenshot of that sent to a misinformed investor, and boom, instant affiliation and credibility. And now, it's time for the most important step of all. Fraud! No, hold on a second. There is something for you to remember for all of this to work. A bad investment is not illegal. Bad investments happen all the time. It's the risk you take as an investor. If someone invests in your ability to build a brand and it doesn't work out, no one goes to jail. It was just a bad investment. Providing false data is a crime though, so you gotta hide that. So how do you hide it? Make sure that all the content you post only goes up on your influencer channels, the things you have control over. Never release anything on your clients' channels or share relevant data to them. But they're gonna ask, so here's some phrases you can use. Our metrics tool is proprietary. People tend to identify our channel best. Our analytics are cumulative. Our content works best if it's not directly on a client's page. Hey, look over there! So let's review. Step 1, create a stupid identity. Step 2, give yourself a stupid makeover. Step 3, buy stupid followers. Step 4, make stupid content, or just steal real content and make it stupid. Step 5, hide any results behind your stupid, make-believe influence. There's one more step to this process. You can't feel bad about any of it. You got hired for a reason. You're supposed to give your clients a head start, a nice bump, a built-in audience, basically an unearned fan base.
I think that the true professionals in motorsport recognize that it is a bubble, but perhaps they don't necessarily want to talk about it because that would put their jobs at risk, that would put their livelihood at risk, and they feed into it.
Why go through the process of running or being a part of a successful race team? Why serve the fans no matter how many there are? Why go through the pain and headache of building creative, fun, and widely engaging content? Why call things like they actually are, when instead, you can just try to skip the line with fake popularity? They are getting what they asked for, but does that justify folks taking advantage of them? That, race fans, is the real question. Will it turn people off from spending money in our sport? Maybe. Will it burn investors so much that they look elsewhere? Possibly. Will it kill the sport? The only thing I can tell you for sure is that there'll always be someone looking to be the next hustlista. Endless cycle!
Let me just say this to you. Everything you heard beforehand was fake. I didn't get screwed, but the potential is it could happen. Not everybody's like me, okay? There are people that get gun shy. You walk or you even call for a meeting and they'll say, I got screwed before, I'm not gonna talk to anybody because I think everybody's gonna screw me. That happens to people. It's like a syndrome, like the Stockholm syndrome.
The good news about this whole deal is that there is no Violet. It's an actress named Faith. Nobody lost any money. No children were harmed in the making of this video. And it's all good, except for the fact that this stuff really happens. And we do have people out there defrauding viable investors in motorsport, and the consequences are huge.
This is a real problem. The story of Violet is a fake one, but it is actually based off real events. There are companies doing and acting exactly as Violet is in the real world right now. The concern I have, this industry is, as we've said, a Wild West, and if the metrics are being faked and are fraudulent, it could potentially hurt people who are trying to do it ethically and legally. More so than anything else, it could potentially scare away people who have money who want to invest in motorsports. So I think it's important for all of us to take a step back and actually educate ourselves to learn how this is all happening to try to prevent it. I think that's the most important thing we should do. There are companies doing exactly what Adelaide? There are companies doing exactly what Adelaide. There are companies that are doing exactly what Adelaide. Yeah. All right, sorry. There are companies that violate me.
Hey, Faith.
Hey.
Did you know, speaking of metrics, that the shortest episodes are historically the best performing ones, especially to new viewers?
Oh, I had no idea.
So that means this episode has the potential to be the first thing that somebody watches.
That's crazy.
Also, not a good idea because this is way too much of an inside story.
Huh.
So I don't know how to make this episode longer so that it's not the shortest episode somebody watches.
Here's an idea. Why don't you just roll some nonsense footage of some B-roll for a couple of minutes?
So you're saying let's now just play endless minutes of B-roll that makes no sense so that it's no longer the shortest episode in our series.
I think that's exactly what I'm saying.
Next season on Dinner with Racers. Everyone rips us off. Everyone rips us off. Everyone rips us.
We're on a road trip!